Light as a feather, stiff as a board. 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 Feather, stiff as a board. Light as a feather, stiff as a board. The Craft from 1996. At least I still have this movie. What is up, everyone? Movie Way, back again with another review, and this is going to be for the film The Craft Legacy, and this is directed by Zoe Lister-Jones, starring Kaylee Spawney, Zoe Luna, Gideon Adlon, and Lovie Simeone. So this tells the story of 4 teenage witches who come together so they can form a coven and get the best out of their powers. Now, The Craft of the 90s is one of my favourite nostalgic films. You know when you're a kid and you have like 20 or 30 VHS tapes in the house and you just rewatch them all the time? Well, that was kind of what it was for me with The Craft. I used to rewatch this constantly. So when the trailer dropped for The Craft Legacy, I was kind of disappointed. It just looked like a bad version of that movie altogether. After watching this now, I can say that this does actually have some things going for it. And, well, some things, let's say, not going for it. Now, one of my biggest concerns going into this movie was the cast of these 4 teenage girls, because I just could not see past the original characters, and I didn't recognise any of these actresses whatsoever. But I went in open-minded and said, I'm just going to give it a chance, and I came out pleasantly surprised. These girls all did a great job of what they had to work with, especially the main star, Kaylee Spawney, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, who played the main girl, Lily. She done a great job and was the bright spark of the film for me. Story-wise, this really follows the same path as the original movie. A girl moves to a new town and has no friends. Then she meets these teenage girls and they form The Craft. And they start to put spells on people just for a bit of fun, but things start to go wrong. I feel like this movie wasn't quite too sure of what it wanted to be. It's a sequel, but it acts like a remake. I wish they would have just picked one and fully went with it, but it tries to be a bit of both. However, for the first 2 acts of this movie, I was quite entertained and I just felt myself chilling, laying in back and enjoying this simple story. And there are a couple of good scenes along the way too, especially like the montages of these girls when they get their newfound powers, just playing tricks on people and doing little spells here and there. And there's a storyline involving the school bully, and they put a spell on him and his personality just flips. Kinda like Chris in the original movie. However, I did find myself laughing quite a few times during this storyline, and it's things like that that make the movie kind of fun at times. There's also a sense of mystery surrounding the new family that Lily and her mum have just moved in with, because her mum's new boyfriend lives in this new town and they move in with him, and every time they're on screen it's just in the back of your mind as to what is really going on with this family, and that was a cool little mysterious element to add into the story there. However, this movie does have some problems. Now, the main girl, Lily, had a cool backstory, you felt like you knew her character and you were kind of attached to her. My biggest problem here is the other 3 witches in this film. They are well acted, like I said, but it's the characters and the storyline of them. If you think back to the original movie, each witch had a very good backstory and a meaning to their powers and why they wanted to use them. But here, they're just 3 girls who I didn't really care about. It just felt like they were there to make up this title of The Craft because we need 4 of them. There's just nothing interesting really about them. And it's kind of a shame because that's one of the best things about the original for me. I just wish there was some story explored here for these characters, and unfortunately it only really focuses on Lily. The spell sequence as well that they put on in the bully in this film did have me laughing, like I just said, but it goes on way too long. I feel like this could have been wrapped up in about 10 or 15 minutes, this storyline right in the middle of the movie there. But it just goes on for about 35 to 40 minutes, and in the end I was just like, okay, can we move on with the movie now? I just feel like this runtime could have been used to explore maybe the main characters, you know, the 3 teenage witches there, but it isn't. It takes up a lot of the movie, and in the end kind of feels a little bit stale. Also, after being a little bit entertained by the first 2 acts of this film, the 3rd act just falls straight off a cliff. Unfortunately, the movie loses its way and it just become really, really stupid. And I just shrugged my shoulders and didn't really care when it was going to end. In fact, I just was waiting for the end because I just didn't care anymore, which is quite a shame. And they keep poking, you know, that something's going to happen at the end of the movie and giving little hints here and there. And I'm not going to lie, I seen the ending a mile off. The twist that they go for here is easily seen, in my opinion. Now I hate to compare, but I have to. This is just too similar to the original film at the end of the day. It's got the same story, it's got some of the same quotes, and even the side stories like the spell on the boy at school happens in this and the original. And the original had a good, dark, gothic horror edge to it. This feels like a more teenage-friendly type of film. If you want me to compare this to another movie, I recently reviewed Robert Zemeckis' The Witches, and I said that was too similar to the original film, but everything the original does in a worse way. And this is kind of the same for The Craft Legacy, although I did enjoy this a little bit more than The Witches. Despite these problems though, I still came out the cinema half satisfied. I asked my fiancée what she thought of it, and she said it was okay, and that's exactly what I thought. Maybe a cash grab a little bit, but at the end of the day, mildly entertaining. I'm just going to go ahead and rate this movie now. I'm going to give The Craft Legacy a 6 out of 10. I just wish that the filmmakers and the writers of this movie knew what they wanted to be. I just wish they would have went in a totally different direction, making a sequel there that's loosely attached to the first film, or do a full-on remake. Not same and same here and there. It just didn't quite know what it wanted to be. However, not a bad movie. At the end of these reviews, I always like to leave a little fun fact. Now, director of this film, Zoe Lister-Jones, based some of the scenes and story on her past experience, because like Lily, she had to move in with her mother's boyfriend at a relatively young age. Okay guys, I hope you all enjoyed this review. Got lots more reviews coming, lots more videos, so if you want to subscribe, it's up to yourself. If you want to comment about The Craft or The Craft Legacy, leave it down below and I will reply to every single one of you, I promise. Take it all easy guys, and I'll see you all in the next video.